Make the ground shake.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host GamerK, and I got a brand new camera, so thought I'd test it out for a new video. And it is time for a game review, ladies and gentlemen, and much like a while ago, we'll be diving into the world of the Fairly OddParents. This game is by far one of my personal retro game favorites, and as a sequel game, they definitely raised the bar more of from the first game. And unfortunately, it looks like last week's shadows have entered this week's video. You'll get the joke once I do the title. Fairly OddParents in Shadow Showdown. Now, the game is by the same people. It's done by THQ and Nick Games, which I really hope they do a remaster for these games. The game was done in 2004, so a year after the first game was released, and I gotta say, they did it amazing. Great game, great story, couple of things here and there that kind of are iffy for me, but let's dive in to this game. The game starts off with Timmy getting really ready to watch the season finale of Crash Nebula, a show that he loves. And I can understand that. I mean, watching the season finale of a show that you're actually watching as it's on instead of on Netflix years later, it's quite a big deal because you couldn't record stuff back then. When a mysterious magic power from a TV station is activating as soon as the show starts, and the TV goes on the fritz. And then he screams like any 10-year-old would when the TV stops working. Cue an edited video clip, and we're done. So Cosmo and Wanda obviously tell him just wish for the TV to be fixed. Unfortunately, their magic isn't working. I gotta admit, the first 5 minutes of this game is a cutscene, and it's hilarious. It is without a doubt the most, the humor in this game is just beautiful, just like in the show, especially Cosmo's comments. For example, they have an emergency wand. In case of emergency, break glass. This is an emergency, and he throws his wand out the window and breaks the glass. Small jokes like that I miss in TV shows because they're just not clever enough like they used to be. So, we get into a training video which teaches us about emergency stars, the basics of the game, double jumping, and luckily, unlike the previous game where we needed 5 stars for each wish, and we need to go to a special wishing circle, once we collect the 3 stars, we're good to go. So basically, we go to Fairy World to figure out what's going on, and things are going a little awkward. So it's up to Jorgen is blaming us until we find an actual culprit. Oh, no, wait, he doesn't blame us this time. Huh, odd things happen in these games. So, we gotta basically find out who stole a royal jewel from the royal fairies, King Oberon and Queen Titania. For those of you who know about mythology, you know what this is in reference to. And for anime fans, you're probably thinking of Urza from Fairy Tail. And I'm not even going to go there for Sword Art Online. So we find the thief. And it turns out that there's more magic to be dealt with. So after we finish basically the first level, we got to make a fairy-versary muffin. With very specific ingredients in order to stop this whole thing. And true to form, and no one even said what could possibly go wrong yet. And Vicky takes all the ingredients and gives them to Timmy's parents and destroys the one egg we needed. So basically the entirety of the game mostly is going to these different sections and getting the ingredients somehow. Wow. Hilarity ensues. Now, one thing I really do love about this game is how exponentially better it is than the last one. The levels are a little bit more colorful and fleshed out. Some of them are based on stuff from the TV shows. Some are actually really brilliantly creative, and I love that. The voiceovers are done by the same cast from the show, and that's also a great thing. And also, unlike the last game, it doesn't sound fuzzy or like none of the voices sound staticky or kind of hollow a bit. Like it's really well done. It's clear, and I really love that in this game. They really brought that forward and made the voice more clear and not so, again, fuzzy and staticky, which was a real annoyance. Another thing that they've done is, yes, once you get hit 3 times, you die, but you just spawn right back. There's no game over scene. There's no restarting at your last spot, which I do enjoy. Not only that, but the levels are more open. Like you can go back towards different sections of the level after you get certain wishes, and then progress further in order to collect coins, which you can now spend at the brand new Fairy Mart for upgrades, such as getting more health, increasing your stomp power, increase your running. I'll get to those in a minute. So adding a shop like that so you can buy, and wish radar, coin radar, stuff like that to improve your game for later game, which helps. It's a big help and a really enjoyable feature that they've added. Well done for that. So once again, the levels are open. Because in the previous game, everything was so linear. Like you went through the levels and there was nothing really enjoyable about it. This one, it's wide open. Every single level is open. I mean, it is a linear story, but you can always go back to certain parts with the new wishes that you got and get the extra stuff. I love that in this game. Where else? Once again, the humor in the game is there every step of the way. Every section of every level, Wanda, Cosmo, Timmy, they always have their talking, and it's always funny, whatever comes out of Cosmo's mouth. The writing in this game is better than some games I've played in recent years. Like, the humor is there. It's not being forcefully jammed down your throat. It's more just coming natural, and I miss this. So I really hope this gets remastered, because I would love to redo these games, redo the levels, and play them all again. So going to the levels themselves, if you're not, let me think here. If you're not counting the training mission, which no one really does, there is a total of 7 levels in this game, and I gotta be honest, I'm not mad about that, because the other game had about a little over, like, hang on, 4 upstairs, 4 downstairs, so yeah, about 9 levels last time. This one has 2 less, I mean, including the final level, which honestly isn't much of a level, like it is kind of like the ending of the last game, just a boss fight level. And I do love that, though. I like that there's a little less, but they were able to expand more of the other levels. And it's beautiful. And again, the creativity in these levels is non-stop. We go to a wacky fairy world where we gotta fix everything, and we get to see some of the weird stuff that fairy world considers, like a cowboy is a legitimate humanoid cow. The color factory, we get to see where all the color comes from. It's pretty amazing. We also get to go into Dad's dream, which, if you know the show and you know his dad, he knows he likes making stuff and, well, you know, robots. The giant robots of Timmy's dad. Hey, at least it's not Superbike. And we also get to go into another Crimson Chin comic, like in the last game, which is done better because they focus on one villain instead of the three villains spread out. And it doesn't... all honesty, that one also felt like a hub world too. Like the main stuff, you just get the stars, then you go in through to the different sections of the level, and then yeah. And we also get to explore the mansion where the jewel was stolen. So that's an amazing one. I love that level because we got to deal with ghosts, actual, okay, somewhat detective work because it's all linear, but it's also brilliantly done. So I'm not going to go into the rest of the levels, but they're so beautifully done. They're colorful at times. They fit within the world of Fairly OddParents. It doesn't make you think they were going too far with it, because each level does, again, seem like it's an actual wish that happened that they need to fix. And that's something that's beautiful about this game. I love it. Let's see. So, from the first game, we got, I think, 2 bosses upstairs, 1 boss downstairs. No, wait. Kind of a boss downstairs. And then we had the final boss. So that wasn't much. Every level in this game has a boss at the end where you use the wishes that you've gained in order to figure out a way to hurt them. And these bosses are by far some of my favorites in old gaming. They're not too complex. They're not too simple. They're in the middle of enjoyment, and it's beautifully done. Except for the final boss, where I'll kind of get into later. Or if you guys are interested, go to my top 13 worst video game villains list, and you'll see the villain and why I don't like it in this game. Just watch that video, guys. It will save me a lot of time and effort of going over what I've already spoken. But yeah, the game is, again, beautifully done. You get to collect stickers in this one instead of Crimson Chin cards by using all the gadgets, all the wishes that you do, and going back down to previous, older, backtracking to parts of the game. And at least in this game, backtracking isn't a chore. Because it's not that difficult to get lost in this game. It really isn't. It's not like saying Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge, where backtracking is a literal chore. This one is kind of fun, especially in some levels where you can just jump down and you won't get hurt at all. Now, I've talked about the wishes a lot, so let's get down to some of the wishes. There are a total of 3 wishes in every single level. And each star is colored from gold to green to purple. And I think that's a great idea. And it's not 5 stars anymore. It's 3. And you don't need to get to a wishing circle once you collect them all. That part was a big annoyance. Because once you get all the stars, but then you're caught by Crocker or something in the first game, you gotta redo it all. So that part I really like. And these are some of the most inventive, fun, and honestly ridiculous wishes I've ever seen. For example, a light bulb to attract moths. The chin wing thing, which is kind of like a small airplane equipped to the chin. A freeze ray. A ghost costume in order to scare knights in suit of armor and go through invisible things. And an hourglass that turns the mansion upside down. I gotta say, that was inventive. I'm only going through the wishes, some wishes of each level, not all of them. We get a pinball, which is basically us in a giant hamster ball. We get a banana launcher. We get a suitcase that shoots playing card suits. That is inventive. Every single wish in this game is inventive, and it's beyond ridiculous to the point, where it fits in the show, where it would fit in the show, and I love that. Again, I know I'm saying this a lot, but this game is amazing, especially for a retro game. Now, let's see. The basis of this whole game is basically a little bit of, it's mostly platforming with a couple puzzles here and there. Not difficult puzzles, but ones that are okay to do, especially for kids playing this game. Unfortunately, what brings this game down a bit is, again, the villain was supposed to be a surprise, and yet, just by looking at the cover of the game, you can obviously tell who it is. Also, the game's called Shadow Showdown, so that's literally like if you were to buy a crime game, it says, and the title is called The Janitor Did It. So you spend this entire game going through the game, and it turns out that it was the janitor. It was supposed to be such a big shock. It's like that. The villain is no surprise. Although I do admit the boss fight is a little bit of an annoyance to do, though, because you don't have any wishes. Oh, okay, going back to the power-ups that I meant, now that I've, again, kind of subtext the final boss of this game and the villain, again, go to my top 13 worst video game villains list, and you will see why. They added ground pound attack, where Timmy will jump and activate switches, and even running. Like, you can sprint in order to get places, and you can purchase running shoes in order to increase the running meter, so you can run for longer periods of time. Oh boy, what would I give to have had that during the A Badge Too Far episode in the first game. So Vicky wouldn't chase me. And plus, you move slow as molasses in that game. In this game, they actually make you go quick. And I love that about this game. Not only that, but in 2 sections of the game, they have this thing where you can do something a little different, which is send either Cosmo or Wanda into something in order to collect energy cells. So it's basically like a spaceship game where you're moving the spaceship in order to collect the stuff while blasting obstacles. I will admit it is interesting. I will admit it is pretty interesting, but I mean, it's only in 2 sections, so it's not that big of an issue. The game does well for what it's supposed to do, and once again, the humor, the fun, the nostalgia, it's all here. And for only a 7-hour game, so that practically comes down to an hour a level, excluding the trailer and the opening and the final boss. Yeah, that's pretty good. Not only that, if you're going to collect everything in the game, it's a little bit longer. 8 hours if you're a completionist. I mean, there's no trophies to have been done, except if this gets remastered, it will get trophies, and I really want them to have fun ones. I didn't even get to the boss fights, did I? No, I didn't. But the boss fights, again, are really, really fun. You're never going to be annoyed with them, maybe except for the first one, because you got to really look at what you're doing. And also Vicky's boss fight, which is not more of a boss fight, more than it is hitting switches and just shooting a pinball at her tower. That's pretty much the boss fight. Okay, so this game is fantastic for any Fairly OddParents fan, and for anyone who wants their kids to have a fun entertaining game that isn't on the violent side. I mean, you know, for kids who aren't ready for those types of games. This is a fun, nostalgic game. The story is pretty inventive. It feels like it could be a 2-hour episode series. The characters are humorous. And we even get to see Jorgen again. Mostly. Unfortunately, for some reason, why wasn't Crocker in this game? He was just used as a scare tactic in the first one and a game of hide-and-go Crocker. So why wasn't he in this one? But sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Had to quickly go do something. And right at the end of the video, too. Just my luck. I'll be editing this into the video, to the first bit, so no problem. So, like I was saying, why isn't Crocker in this game. It could have been a fun level. Although, to be fair, I don't know what kind of ingredient we would have to give him in order to, let's see. Nope, I don't know. But I think it would have been fun just to have Crocker in it. Just to have him in the game. Something fun. And not him just being a game of hide and go Crocker like in the last game. So, to sum up, the graphics, the voice, the sound, the voicing is all 100% jumped up. The gameplay is done exponentially well. So they really amped up from the first game. The levels are bright and colorful, and it feels like you're playing in the actual show once again. The villain, even near the end of the game, after Vicky's level, it was technically a TV show. The credits roll, and it says the villain, even though it's mysterious figure played by, and it says it. So, with all the improvements they've done, with everything in the game, the one thing they had to keep secret was the villain, and they quite literally put it on the box. However, despite my minor complaint about it, and when I say minor, I mean I've been talking about it for a while, especially in 2 videos I will be talking about it. This game is a must-have for any fan. If they hopefully, because of the SpongeBob remaster that happened earlier this year, I'm hoping that they do other Nick games and bring them back, because let's be honest, that's the best Nick has ever been, and it's not going to get better anymore because of how terrible the shows are now. I miss the old ones, and I really hope we get remastered games for all the Nick favorites. So, to sum up, graphics, gameplay, voice acting, it's done better than the first one. As a sequel, it did its job to level up of what was supposed to be. The gameplay is still kind of platforming with a little bit of puzzle play, and it's enjoyable. The wishes are inventive and fit within the level. And it doesn't feel like anything's out of place, or they just did this just to get around this one obstacle. The tasks in the levels are fun. Some of them are a little annoying, and it's going to take a while to figure out the pattern in some way. And it doesn't take you so long that you want to rip your hair out. So that's a plus. In retrospect, every single bit of this game makes me wish there was a third game. And I'm not including Nicktoons Unite or those Attack of the Toy Bots, Volcano Island, or the Glob of Doom thing. I'm talking about legitimate single games, and it's enjoyable to play. I would happily play this game again if I could. So, GamerK's final verdict for Fairly OddParents in Shadow Showdown is a 8 out of 10. The problem with the villain kind of brings it down a little bit, because I always put those things into account. If the villain is amazing, but the game is crap, it kind of levels it up a bit. But if the game is amazing, and the villain is just a little, not even, it kind of brings it down for me. It was going to be a 9, but because the game is exponentially kind of short at 7 hours, I mean, in 2004, let's be honest, that was amazing. And plus, kids wouldn't play as long as they do now. You know, they would take breaks, come back to it later. But the game does what it needs to do, and it does it beautifully. It makes me feel like a kid again if I were ever to play it again. Experiencing it for the first time, and it just makes me feel like a kid again. So, that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Like, comment, subscribe down below, and for people who are wondering, the intro for this video and all future videos on the Game Hub is brought to you by Kira Gamer Sans. Go like her channel. She's a gacha YouTuber. She does great work. Go subscribe to her. Go subscribe to Kid Spider 2009 as well. Another great, he just reached 40 subscribers, and for small YouTubers like us, that's a big accomplishment. So, next week, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost my favorite time of the year. So get ready as we head to Gotham to hang out with the Rogues Gallery. This is GamerK, logging out.